on his behalf and guide Nagato towards this ultimate goal. So Madara waited, connecting himself to the demonic statue to keep him alive until someone could be found. Madara spent this time keeping a close eye on Konoha to find a suitable pawn to take his place. During the Third Shinobi War, Madara found a badly injured Obito Uchiha. Madara used Hashirama's cells to replace Obito's damaged extremities and placed a forbidden individual curse tag in Obito's heart as a failsafe in case Obito ever turned against him. Until then, Madara began working towards corrupting Obito. He had Kirigakure kidnap the girl Obito loved, Rin Nohara, and seal the Three Tails into her. He then manipulated events so that Rin would die at the hands of Obito's friend, Kakashi, while Obito watched. Driven to despair, Obito offered his services to Madara. Madara divulged to Obito the history of the Sage of the Six Paths and the Ten Tails, the details of his Eye of the Moon plan, and various techniques that Obito would need moving forward. As a final act, he left behind Black Zetsu, what he believed to be a manifestation of his will, to provide additional guidance to Obito in pursuit of this goal. With that, Madara disconnected from the demonic statue, and with his dying breath, entrusted Obito with his name, Madara Uchiha. Tobi, or Obito, acting under Madara's name, moves into the final stages of the Eye of the Moon plan by initiating a fourth Shinobi World War. Before the wars start, Kabuto Yakushi approaches Tobi to try and form an alliance. When Tobi asks what will happen if he refuses, Kabuto resurrects Madara to show he knows that Tobi is not the true Madara and forces him to accept. Tobi reluctantly agrees, and Kabuto de-summons Madara. The Fourth Shinobi World War Climax. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, Kabuto decides to use Madara against the allied shinobi forces and uses Mu as a medium to summon him to the battlefield. When he first becomes aware of his surroundings, Madara believes he has been brought back by Nagato's outer path, Samsara of Heavenly Life technique, but soon realizes that he instead has been brought back with the Impure World reincarnation. Kabuto speaks through Mu, introduces himself, and explains recent developments in the world and Tobi's current actions. After Kabuto points out that he has restored Madara to a state beyond his prime, Madara tests his body by tearing through the 4th Division, thinning its numbers. The 4th Division's initial attempts to stop Madara fail as he protects himself with Susanoo. With the 5th Kazekage, 3rd Tsuchikage, and one of Naruto Uzumaki's shadow clones' combined efforts, Madara is forced to activate his Rinnegan and absorb the attack. Realizing his enemies were too dangerous for him to hold back with ninjutsu and taijutsu, Madara pulls down a meteorite from the atmosphere. When the Kazekage and Tsuchikage successfully stop it, Madara adds a second meteorite to his attack, both of which fall upon and devastate the 4th Division. With most of the 4th Division dead, Madara questions Kabuto about just how far off plan Tobi has gone. Because Kabuto doesn't actually know much about the plan, Madara is left to check things for himself and tries to summon the Nine Tails, only to discover that it's sealed in a Jinchuriki, specifically Naruto. Despite knowing the current Naruto was a clone, he decided to delay his plans to test out his new powers, namely the wood release Nativity of Trees, which Naruto's clone barely countered. He then moves in to finish off the remainder of the 4th Division, but is repelled by the arrival of the 5th Hokage, the 5th Mizukage, and the 5th Raikage. The 5 Kage combine forces against Madara and propel him from the immediate area. By the time Madara returns, Naruto's shadow clone is gone and the 5 Kage remain his only opponents. They battle for some time, with Madara equaling and besting the Kage's efforts. When he's hit with the Tsuchikage's dust release detachment of the primitive world technique, Madara's armor is torn away, revealing the implant of Hashirama's face on his chest. What? Madara laments Hashirama's legacy that these Kage have inherited, having been completely unimpressed by their attacks, particularly those of the Hokage, Hashirama's granddaughter. Madara then creates 25 copies of himself and has them each activate their Susanoo. By nightfall, the Kage are still alive and are able to pool their efforts so successfully that he is nearly sealed. Finally impressed by their display, Madara responds by summoning his perfected Susanoo. Before he can use it to kill the Kage, his Susanoo starts to fade and Madara is engulfed in light. Madara realizes that Kabuto has elsewhere released him from the Impure World reincarnation and his soul is returning to the afterlife. Madara responds by performing the hand seals to rescind the Impure World reincarnation contract that Kabuto has over him, enabling him to return to his immortal body without further interference from a summoner. Now able to do whatever he likes, and bored by the Kage, Madara decides to go find Naruto and reclaim the Nine Tails. The Kage, rightfully so, try to block his escape, probably to no avail. After defeating the 5 Kage, Madara finds and reunites with Obito while he's engaged in combat with Naruto, Killer Bee, Kakashi, and Might Guy. Madara notices the demonic statue undergoing